Accepting your differences means no regrets. Have you ever looked back on your life with regret? It's normal. We are all imperfect human beings. That means we make mistakes from time to time, some big and some small. This can lead you to second-guess things you've done in your life. When you think about it, that's a good thing. If you want to learn from your mistakes and make better choices in the future, you should be applauded. You understand that you consciously or unconsciously acted in a way that didn't produce the most beneficial outcome. You regret doing something, so you remember that, and you keep from repeating the mistake in the future. Sometimes, though, our regrets are misplaced. Someone tells us that our behavior is far from normal. They recommend we do things in a socially acceptable way, so we can be like everyone else. After all, if everybody else is wearing a blue hat and a yellow shirt, why aren't we? Why did we choose to wear a yellow hat and a blue shirt? Are we trying to start trouble? Since being accepted is a very natural human desire, we might develop regret. Why did we decide to be original? Who were we to dare to embrace our unique personality? Why didn't we just go along with the crowd instead of drawing attention to ourselves? These types of regrets have no place in your life. When you're chastised for being different in some way that doesn't harm anyone and allows you to express your unique personality, you shouldn't regret acting that way. The problem is with the person who's worried about what you're doing. When you understand that being different is the only way for you to be you, you start living life without regret. Fewer regrets means a happier life. Regret, frustration, and stress are frequent companions. They lead to negative emotions and self-doubt. You begin to conform just for conformity's sake, and not because it makes you feel good. When you realize that you are awesome, incredible, and beautiful just the way you are, you don't experience as many of those negative feelings. The world around you starts to look better. You give a voice to your unique personality. It feels good being you. You don't worry if someone else is going to approve of who you are or what you think. The only thing you regret is not acting this way in the past. It's too frustrating and pointless to try to please everyone. It's also impossible. If you have a personality or some physical trait that makes you different from most people, you should be happy. You have been chosen by the universe to be noticeably different. You're the only person who can truly love and appreciate who you are, and that begins with living life with fewer regrets. Take control of your life by being different. There is great power in being unique. When you're different than other people, you inherently draw attention to yourself. You might be thinking that's a bad thing. You don't want to look and sound and think differently than others. When you think about it, though, your differences can be very powerful in a positive way. If you're the only blonde-haired person in a room of brunettes, you have a wonderful opportunity. You're going to be noticed in a big way. This allows the possibility of communication and developing relationships based on your difference, not because that difference is negative. It entirely depends on how you look at being different. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor Roosevelt was the First Lady of the United States from 1933 to 1945. That was when her husband, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, served 4 terms as the 32nd U.S. President. Eleanor Roosevelt was an insightful thinker. She was an activist and diplomat known for her work in social activism and civil rights. Her quote above is so very important. If you've ever felt that your differences from others make a negative statement about who you are. Don't let others qualify your unique differences. We oftentimes move through life letting other people control the narrative. We allow people to point at us and say, "See how he's different? That's a bad thing. He's not normal. so we must be inferior. Many times, this is just ignorance. People are often afraid of things that they don't understand. Rather than make a concerted effort to see if something different and unique can add value to a person's life, they choose instead to alienate it, make fun of it, and treat it negatively. Your wonderful and unique physical, mental, and emotional composition is beautiful. It's beautiful if you decide that it is. And guess what? No one can ever make you believe something unless you allow them to. Reach out and grab control of your life. It's as easy as looking in the mirror and telling yourself you love the person you see. You're different in so many ways, and isn't that great? You have the opportunity to draw positive attention to yourself when you put your differences on display. If someone tries to knock you down because you're not like them, remind them that they're not like you, and that's okay. We can all be marvelously different and embrace those differences. Remember what Eleanor Roosevelt said. Nobody can make you feel bad about your unique and different qualities and traits unless you allow them to. Why not embrace what makes you different? You and you alone have a unique value to share with the world that others can't. The stress-relieving value of accepting your differences. Were you ever teased as a child? A lot of us were. Some kids will make fun of others who are fatter, skinnier, taller, or shorter, or different in some other way. They unfortunately learn this behavior from adults who likewise chastise their colleagues, friends, and others for nothing more than being different. This becomes a big problem when several children attack another child and declare some difference to be negative in nature. When this behavior is ongoing, the different child can begin to feel low self-worth. After all, if everyone is telling her she's different and that her differences aren't good, they must be right. Why else would they all be saying the same thing? That child begins to become upset with the person she sees in the mirror. Why is she overweight? Why is her skin different from others? Why wasn't she given the intelligence that all her friends have? This leads to self-doubt, low self-esteem, and in some cases risky and unsafe behavior. Stress is a killer, but it doesn't have to be. Obviously, that's a very stressful scenario, and it's unfortunate that this is a common situation for not just children, but teens, young adults, and even older grown-ups as well. It causes so much stress, both physical and mental. The stress starts to build up because the differences are seen as negative. The marvelous and wonderful unique individual that was created is not allowed to be who they really are. They try not to be themselves. On the physiological side of the equation, this chronic stress produces chemicals which lead to anxiety, depression, and other negative feelings. Ask any doctor, and they'll tell you stress is related to most chronic diseases and illnesses, and many of the major causes of death. Your differences don't have to be stressful. They shouldn't be. When you embrace who you are, you realize you have a lot to offer the world. You're fine just like you are right now. This confidence leads to less stress. You aren't as anxious about trying to please others by fitting into some silly idea they have of who you should be. Your confidence and self-esteem go up when you accept and love your differences. You'll also find that certain people in your life want to manipulate you rather than accept who you are. Perhaps you should move on from these people and spend more time with supportive individuals who encourage your uniqueness. Be happy with who you are. You're the only you that will ever be created. There will never be another human being exactly like you. When you embrace that fact and look at your differences as advantages, you'll suffer less from stress and anxiety and enjoy more self-love, fulfillment, and success. Today's clothespins illustrate the power of being different. Being different isn't always bad. Sometimes it can solve problems that people didn't even know they had. That's the case with today's version of the clothespin. You may have some in your home right now. The modern clothespin is a simple design with 2 prongs, a spring, and a fulcrum. While this might be the only design of that product you've ever known, it wasn't always that way. In the early 1800s, Jeremy Optebeck invented what he called a clothes peg. Peg is an appropriate word here because the product was simply a long cylindrical piece of wood with a slit cut down the center of the rod. Wet clothes were hung over a clothesline outdoors. Then, the wooden peg was pushed over the clothes to keep them from falling off the line. That basic construction meant clothes pegs were inexpensive and easily made. This quickly became the accepted way of attaching clothes to a clothesline so they could dry in the sun. Introducing the won't roll clothespin of 1853. Clothes pegs were assumed to be the best possible way to hang clothes to keep them from falling off a clothesline. Indeed, that was the case until 1853. That's when David Smith created the precursor to the modern clothespin. It was 2 simple flat pieces of wood with a spring between them. You pinched together the 2 ends furthest away from the spring. This opened up the mouth, which you could then place over the clothes and clothesline. The construction was much more reliable for keeping clothes from falling off the line into the dirt and grass below. However, nobody wanted to buy this newer, better version. It was too different. People wondered why they should change. Why spend more money on these new weird-looking clothespins when they had plenty of clothes pegs already? Anytime something is accepted as the normal way of doing things, it can be difficult to introduce a new product, even if that product is better in so many ways. That's when a frustrated marketer had a stroke of genius. He decided to embrace a major difference of the new clothespin, rather than talk about similarities with the older product. On marketing materials, he simply stated, "They don't roll." Housewives and mothers everywhere in the 19th century were predominantly tasked with washing, drying, and caring for clothing and linens. They understood all too well that the cylindrical, dowel-shaped clothes pegs would roll off a tabletop if it wasn't level. It was frustrating to have to pick up the rolling pegs and keep them handy. That doesn't happen with today's dual-plank, spring-loaded clothespins. While this might seem like something inconsequential, embracing this singular advantage over the globally accepted product is the primary reason you don't see many, if any, round clothes pegs these days. Take some time to look at your life. Study your personality, your likes, your dislikes, your skills and abilities. Look at your career, your job, and other aspects of your life where you would like some type of improvement. It might be that you need to embrace and broadcast your differences to make some area of your life more fulfilling and successful. 10 quotes on the power of being different. Sometimes a quote from a famous person can motivate us. It gives us inspiration. We think that if this incredible person who achieved so much believes something, there's a learning opportunity for us. Sometimes it takes nothing more than a few well-placed words for us to realize that our differences can be positive for all of us and negative for none of us. Here are 10 quotes that center around the idea that each person is unique and different in some way. We shared them with you in the hopes that you will appreciate how beautifully unique and wonderfully different you are, and what those differences can mean to you. 1. The person who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The person who walks alone is likely to find himself in places no one has ever been before. Albert Einstein. 2. If you are always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. Maya Angelou. 3. You can make life very simple or very complicated. Some people try to be what others want them to be. Others try to be different just to stand out. In both cases, they're changing themselves to impress others. Neither of these paths has heart. Just be true to yourself. It's that simple. Mike Stutman. 4. Being different and thinking differently make a person unforgettable. History does not remember the forgettable. It honors the unique minority the majority cannot forget. Susie Kassem. 5. You are a marvel. You are unique. In all the years that have passed, there has never been another child like you. Your legs, your arms, your clever fingers, the way you move. You may become a Shakespeare, a Michelangelo, a Beethoven. You have the capacity for anything. Henry David Thoreau. 6. When someone is nasty or treats you poorly, don't take it personally. It says nothing about you, but a lot about them. Michael Josephson. 7. I've come to believe that each of us has a personal calling that's as unique as a fingerprint, and that the best way to succeed is to discover what you love and then find a way to offer it to others in the form of service, working hard, and also allowing the energy of the universe to lead you. Oprah Winfrey. 8. Never be afraid to be different. An original is more valuable than a copy. Roy Sutton. 9. Always refuse to be like the others. The more you become similar to the others, the more you will be useless, because there are already plenty of others. Mehmet Murat Ildan. 10. Kites rise against the wind, not with it. Winston Churchill. Draw some inspiration from these quotes. Hopefully, one or two will really resonate with you. If you struggle your whole life to be what society tells you to be, how can you ever discover who you truly are as a unique individual? You are made the way you are for a reason. Embrace that reality. Be the person that's uniquely you. You can never truly know fulfillment and self-realization if you don't embrace your uniqueness and the differences that are yours.